All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Encounter Balance, and this is going to be Temptation. We're just going to get right into it. We move across a field. You could even call it a field. It's mostly dead grass and dirt, withered, gnarled trees, a bleak, overcast sky. You could hardly still call it landscape, but it's what most people have come to know as how the world is. On one horizon, we can see the edges of the ruins of the old world, massive but crumbled buildings, ruins of a long gone civilization. On the other horizon, you see a small home. You could even call it a home. A large shack would probably be more apt. Yet these are the homes that people have come to know in this world as well. And as we go into this home, you see a kindly old man dressed in very simple clothing, and three other people who have gathered in this home with this old man. He looks to the three of you and smiles. He has called you here, urgently even. There have been rumors of a discovery, a place uncovered from rubble that had not been previously known. And while they didn't have the right crew to venture all the way inside and explore this place, they didn't feel they could do so safely. They've already noticed promising signs, echoes and symbols, items from long ago that seem to have preserved well enough to be recognized. This could be a breakthrough, he told you, an opportunity for a huge discovery. And so he's called the best of the best alchemists that he knows, that he's heard of. He's managed to bring them here in hopes that they might accept this calling. Mateo, is it Mateo?
It is Mateo.
What would be going through your mind? What describe your character as well, and tell me what's going through his mind as he's sitting in this like plain, crude wooden chair as this man is looking at him and the other people who have gathered.
This grizzled man who's almost as old as the one giving us this quest. He would be stroking his scraggly beard, and in his head he'd be thinking, breakthrough might be enough to turn people away from the barbaric ways that they've turned to.
And next to this old and grizzled man, you see another man. John, go ahead and describe your character as well and what might be going through their mind at this time.
John is probably younger 30s. He's got like dirty blonde hair. Stress definitely weighs heavy on his face. He's kind of in an old beat up jacket, kind of cinched at the waist so you can't really see what's underneath. He's kind of like fidgeting with his fingernails, kind of gauging the surroundings, kind of just taking in the lackluster hut in front of him. And I guess he's just contently listening to the old man, trying to get as much information out of him. Usually letting Mateo take the lead with investigations, since his cause is a little bit more noble. My motivations are a little bit more mysterious. So I'm kind of just laying low in the background of the shadow of Mateo here.
Awesome. And then finally, the third person sitting around this circle looking to this old man, Joan. You could go ahead and as well describe your character, what they might be thinking about as they wait.
There's a woman. She's scarred, dirty. She's seen a lot. Her hand rests easily on the hilt of a great sword. She's still in her armor, but seems to find no discomfort in it. And she looks around the room, wondering if one of these might be the one. She taps her fingers on the hilt of the sword and listens.
And after a moment of kind of this silence after the initial pleasantries, the man turns to the three of you. I'm so glad that you all came. As I'm sure you heard in the message, we have big news, a potential exciting find. With the rest of the information that we've been able to gather over the years, our struggle, trying to find a way to heal this cursed land, we have hope, real hope, that perhaps we might be able to find something new, and that something new might lead to bigger and better things. I'm sure you all have at least heard of each other at this point, but it's good to have you all here and in one place. I wish I could offer some grand reward, some great knowledge, or even food or equipment. All I can give you is what I know and a chance to make things better. And I hope that's enough.
The chance is all I need, good friend.
And he smiles at you warmly. Ah, glad to hear it. We'll need everything that we can. He turns his gaze to the others.
While he was kind of talking, John was paying attention to, John hasn't had the best of luck with people in his life, so he's very weary of people. Is this guy making any weird gestures that would come across as
If you'd like to make an insight roll, you can feel free to do so.
I won't do that right this second, but I will be right back. So carry on.
Okay.
Joan meets the old man's eyes and goes, "How far? How many days' travel?"
It's about 5 days straight in. once we make it to the edge of the ruins. And you would know that most people, like if they venture at all through the ruins, it's mostly like taking shortcuts like through the sides of it around the edges. You would know that going like a full week into the heart of the ruins is pretty far, especially on foot. Like that's a long distance, and it's not common that people go that far in because it could get pretty dangerous.
Friend, with my expertise of finding my way, it'll take us half the time.
We all have solid confidence in you, Mateo, but sir, is there anyone else you've told about this that would be interested in this endeavor that we should know about? Is um, any more information you can give us? I can only assume we'll put to good use.
Well, it can be dangerous to send large crews too far in. More people gathers a lot more attention, and attention spreads quickly in places like that. So I think it might be better if we keep a light crew. I'm sure you understand.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Very well. I suppose then I can only hope that the knowledge we gain from this expedition will enlighten the world we live in.
So, if I can just ask to be clear for myself, is that commitment from all of you? You're willing to do this?
I am.
Yes.
Well, if they're both in, I guess I can't be the one left out of the fun. I'm in too.
Great. Oh, and like he smiles like a big relieved smile, like a genuine smile, like someone who's relieved and also excited. Well, I won't try to rush you, but um, I say the sooner we can be ready to leave, the better.
Of
Is
course.
tomorrow morning too soon to ask?
It's not soon enough for me, but these two need their rest.
Dale's right. I'm no good on any less than 8 hours.
Work. I could leave sooner, but if the gentlemen here prefer to wait, then we shall.
I'll gather my things and be as ready as you guys are. Just let me know. And he would kind of turn away to start gathering some supplies and gathering some various some things, try to prepare. And he would leave you guys kind of at the table. If there's anything that you'd like to say in this moment to each other, you have free time to do so. Otherwise, we will go ahead and move ahead a little bit.
Joan, I noticed the tapping on your sword. Is that a nervous tick?
She gives you what amounts to a withering stare. Hmm. I'm not nervous.
Of course not. One of our caliber shouldn't be.
I don't know when you guys got so comfortable going out there, but I'm nervous as hell. And he's still kind of like picking at his fingernails. Have you guys told anybody about this? That where you're going? I mean, people of, as you say, our stature, all going away to one spot where we could all end up dead might end up bad for a lot of people. Just a word of
Well, I
thought.
wouldn't have much of anyone to tell.
Guess it could just be the paranoia.
Paranoia might keep you alive. Hold on to that. Don't be overconfident.
I try. I try not to be overconfident. In most cases, the paranoia is all I got.
We'll just do our usual run, John. Stay behind me and I'll shield you from the rest.
All right. Well, I'll point them out to you. You just hit them. And at that, John kind of slinks into a corner and appears to go to sleep.
And with that, as John's eyes close, whether pretending or not to sleep, we move ahead. It's the next morning, and the three of you, along with the kindly old man that you would know as Kenneth, have set out from this little cottage he calls home. You've been on the road for 2 days already. Across the withered plains, and you've made it to the edge of the ruined city that you would just know only as the old world. Wrecked houses, ruined. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if it was possible for me to cast Find Steed back at the house and offer the ride to Kenneth.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so as we see the party venturing, Kenneth is upon this horse or whatever animal I guess that you would have summoned.
It is a large reptilian creature.
Yeah, so he's riding on this creature that you have brought forth for him, and he's grateful for the assistance. And as you guys find the ruins kind of coming in from the distance and then upon you and then surrounding you as you enter in, ruined houses, fortresses, castles, all sorts of things that would astound you in their size and fine craftsmanship, if only that they were still in good condition. And this would continue on for yet another day in. And then, as you guys are traveling, Kenneth would kind of motion for the creature to stop and kind of put his hands up and kind of point out. And you would see what he was pointing at. You would recognize these creatures. They appear in humanoid shape, but as if made completely of shadow and smoke. And he would look over and say, ah, it's one of them. I'm sure you guys will be fine, but be careful. There's more of them. There's always more of them. And like you can tell that he's gotten nervous. Like, it would probably have become clear over this point that while Kenneth is very knowledgeable, um, he's not necessarily extremely capable. And the sight of this thing has kind of set him on edge.
What are they? Do they speak? Are they intent to harm us?
They used to be people before the shadow took them.
At the mention of the shadow, Mateo would visibly tense up and grab onto the hilt of his weapon.
Just one of them is not too much of a threat. I'll attack if you get too close, but where one is, there's always more.
And extinguish all of them if we must.
Easy there, Mateo. I never had any easy experiences with one of these before. I don't think it's going to be as easy as it. And there's like a monotone to John's voice right now that's like completely opposed to his normal banter, which kind of would put anyone who's close to him on edge, because this is not what he's usually like. And whatever we do, we got to make sure it's done fast and correctly. And John's just kind of getting not necessarily craning his neck around to get the full view, but just kind of passively going over the landscape here to see if he can see anything that would incline that this was maybe a trap, or there's something afoot.
Yeah, if you'd like to make a perception roll, you can feel free to do so.
13, so.
Yeah, as you're looking around, you would notice a couple things. The first thing would be something that you all would notice. This thing is probably 100 feet away from you still at this point. Would turn and look towards you guys. And in almost a shamble, begins to like work its way in your direction. And then, John, as you're kind of scanning around looking, you would see kind of off a little bit to another side a second one of these things. And then a third. And then a fourth. Each one that you see looking back at you as you look, shambling in your direction.
What time of day is it right now?
I'd say it's probably midday, somewhere late morning, early noon, early afternoon.
All right, just so we're not like going into an evening time, nighttime fight with these shadow creatures. Like quietly, Mateo, I count 4. That's all I see right now, but they are all moving this way. Whatever we do, we need to do it quick.
Mateo would look to Kenneth and he'd say, "Are they on our direct path?"
Some of them. Kind of pointing in the direction that you guys were walking, where you can see like one directly ahead and one a little bit off to a side.
Mateo would look to John and Joan and he'd say, well, looks like we have some trailblazing to do.
You look to Joan and you see she's taken 2 steps already and is unsheathing her sword. Are you coming?
This
I
is
like
bloody. This is bloody madness. Like meekly drawing my rapier, kind of hanging back with Kenneth for a second, and then following them. Do you have a plan besides hacking and slashing our way through? What are we doing?
That's always the plan.
calling upon the gods when needed. Bringing
Kind
down
of-
their light is the one thing I'm good at.
What kind of barbaric gods are these? This is why I believe in science. Or whatever the word for science is in this pre-science part of the world. I don't know.
All right, so it sounds like Joan is advancing in the direction of 2 of these things. What are the
We're all
other 2 of you going to do?
I'm pretty sure we're all advancing, aren't we?
Yeah, I think you guys are advancing ahead of me. I'm kind of bringing up the rear.
Alrighty, it's not too long before you guys are able to cover a little bit closer of the 100 feet. And as you guys make it within about 30 feet, we will go ahead and sounds like we're going to be rolling initiative.
Woo!
If you want to go ahead and just put your number and your name in the chat.
Jeez, we all hit that bottom curve.
That's quite the initiative you guys have there.
Yep, coming out swinging.
So as the 3 of you approach, swords ready, the moment that you guys begin to ready yourselves to charge is when you see that perhaps your count was a little bit off from what you thought. The 2 that you approached and the other 2 that you saw, others have come out from ruins and down streets as you approach. And with that initiative, they all begin to charge simultaneously at you. Just their shambling, quiet movements suddenly becoming quick and frenzied. And that is not what I was. All right, I'm gonna have to make a lot of attacks in a row real quick, so bear with me real quick while I do that.
Against
They are
who?
just going to all surround you, and 3 are going to attack each of you. Oh God.
If any of them deal damage, I would like to invoke my channel divinity, Rebuke the Violent. which is
Alright,
they take the amount of damage they dealt as radiant damage.
Ooh. All of them, or can you just use it on one
Just
person?
the first one.
Okay. All right. So the first wave, the first three rush you, Mateo. The first one gets a 9, which I'm gonna guess is not quite gonna do it. The next one is gonna have 19.
That will hit me, yes. And
All right.
with that, with Rebuke the Violent, he has to make a Wisdom save to take the damage or avoid it.
All right. It has a 10 wisdom.
That, in fact, fails.
Alrighty. So you are going to take 7 lightning damage as this creature just like rakes at you with these claws. And what would it look like as this channel force hits back at it?
As it swings into me, the charge travels across his chainmail armor, and he reaches a gauntleted hand onto its throat as the lightning shifts from electrical energy to light energy and sears into it.
Yeah, and as this light like surges through it, you can see parts of like the shadowy forms like go up in smoke, like boiled water almost, just kind of boils off of its form becoming distorted and warped as the light just counterbalances the shadow. And then the last one, got a critical hit, so this is gonna be fun. So
Making up for that one that missed.
yeah, I'm gonna need a couple things here. First, you're going to take 11 lightning damage from this one. But then, as I put in the event, since some of you have not played with me, I'm also going to need you to roll me a d12 and a d20. No, actually, a d10, not a d20. So a d12 and a d10. Sorry.
D10 result is a 6, D12 result is a 12.
Oh Jesus.
Am I getting this?
Yeah, this creature like claws, and the claw like goes straight up into your face, and like some of the one of the claws goes up into your nose. You can feel just this rip in your face, and this shock of shadow and electricity go through you, as you will be stunned for this round of combat.
At least I got my reaction off.
Yeah. The next 3 will strike at Joan. And Joan, what's your AC? Is 13?
14.
14.
Oh, I
Right.
wrote 13. I'm sorry. That should be 14.
No worries. Ooh. Yeah. 2 of these just things just start clawing at you, just basically surrounding you in a circle. You're able to fend off 2 of them as they try to get in, keeping them away with your sword and kind of blocking them away. But the third one that comes up from behind, you're not able to fend off as it slashes you, only for 4 lightning damage, though.
Don't put that down yet. I'm checking something.
All right, while you're checking that, I'm going to roll some attacks at John. Ooh. AC is 14 as well. All right. John, all 3 of these things, John, all 3 of these things just surround you as well and just begin clawing and raking. And the lowest to hit is going to be a 17, so I think all 3 of them are going to hit you. Luckily, I rolled very low on their damage, so you are only going to take 15 lightning damage total.
I have
Exactly.
uncanny dodge. How many of these was I able to see attack me?
You would have been able to see all of them. So I
So
believe
what?
you'll be able to take just one reaction, but I'll let you do it against the one that was the most damage.
Okay.
So you will take 10 total
10
damage
damage.
instead of whatever I said. I already forgot.
Right on.
Alrighty. And as these things have just onslaughted you, just sprinting out of nowhere, catching you unexpected, even though you thought that you had the drop, they are now all around you. But finally, it is your turn to act, Joan.
So Joan, she swings her sword around, at first at the one that hit her. I'm assuming a 20 is going to hit that one. And then
Yes.
she's going to just do it in a big arc, and the second strike is going to be towards the one next to it. That's a 12 to hit.
That'll hit.
Okay. So for the first one is 12 damage, and the second one is also 12 damage.
Alrighty. What does it look like as Joan just cleaves two of these things into bits?
It's not her first time being surrounded, nor will it be the last. And the sword is just a blur as she swings it straight through at waist height and cuts them into mist, and they just dissolve.
Yeah, there's sprays of black mist and smoke that go off like a fire that's almost dead as these creatures just explode into nothingness, their forms just completely gone. And unless there's anything else, that'll bring us to John.
John's coat's kind of torn to ribbons now. You see some like patches of blood speckling around those wounds. He's not by any means down for the count, but any kind of wound like that is going to take its toll on you. So his breath is kind of staggered. He's kind of holding a couple spots. Do I have any prior knowledge on this? Would you require me to roll or use part of my turn to kind of access anything that I know about these things?
Yeah, you guys would be pretty familiar with these things. They're kind of all over the old world, so you certainly would have come across them before. This is basically what happens to a person when their shadow just takes them over. They become just these creatures that basically just wander around with no knowledge or memory of their old life as a human being. Just basically these aggressive, monstrous versions of themselves. There's not really a whole lot more to know. Um, they're pretty basic creatures, and
Right. Are they like solid? They have a physical form with like shadowy gas around them?
it's mostly kind of this weird mixture of gas and solid. Like it's not totally one or the other. Like if you were to swing through something, it would go through it, but still affect it. If that makes sense.
Okay. I'm just trying to get an idea of the physiology here before I like make a move and it doesn't affect them or something. So John is going to reach into his coat, and you see him kind of pull out this small vial of like a green liquid, and he speaks a quiet word, and this vial starts to glow, and he kind of tosses it to the two forms in front of him, and it kind of pops in a just a small explosion that kind of douses them in this green liquid. And then I'm going to use acid spray cantrip.
Alrighty. So what do you need from me?
I need a dexterity savings throw of 14.
And there's 2 of them that are needed to make this.
Correct.
They both fail.
They take a total of 5 damage. I believe a piece.
Yeah. So this spray of acid just flings over both of them. It's hard to tell if the hissing sound that comes is them responding, or if it's just the sizzling sound of their form involuntarily making the noise. But they both kind of recoil back from the burn, but then kind of still keep a stance to move after you.
And I would like to kind of finish off by using my bonus action to kind of disengage from them, using like their recoil to kind of like slip out so I'm not encircled, if possible.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. How far are you moving away? Are you trying to move away from the group, or are you just trying to
No,
get
not so
kind of
much
to one
move
side?
away, just kind of make it so I'm not surrounded on all sides, so I, have a point of movement. So,
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're able to do
5-7
that.
feet.
Yeah, as they're kind of bringing their hands up to try to shield themselves, you use that as your chance to slip by the third one without too much effort and kind of keep them all in one side of you.
Yep.
All right, and then sadly, due to a poorly timed critically hit Mateo, you will be stunned for this round, as there's just like this shock sensation that just floods your nose and your head, just basically stunning you through the force of this shock.
He's gonna sputteringly speak. Stay close.
All right. And then the last of these creatures that has not yet acted is going to charge up, and I'm gonna roll the.
If it's against me, you have advantage.
It is.
Because
I rolled for it, and it is against Joan. So the final creature, but it misses Joan with the 2 of the creatures you've already easily felled. You're able to easily see this one charging up towards you, and block it aside before it can get to you. All right, and then the remaining 2 are going to attack you that are around you, Joan. One of them will hit. Yeah, it's just these creatures just around you. You've cleared 2 of them out, but with the new one that's just come in, there's 2 still around you, just raking at you. You manage to stave off one from one side, but right as you do, the other one comes in from the other side and is going to deal 5 lightning damage to you.
as it swipes at her and the electrical pulses seem to connect, they're actually going to jump from Joan to Mateo since the stunning has ended. And he's going to be using his reaction to use Aura of the Guardian. I take the damage that she would.
All of it?
All the damage that she would, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so you see one of these creatures like clearly hits you, Joan, but even as its claws rake across you, nothing seems to happen. Or what would it look like, Mateo, as these shadow claws and lightning claws like hit her but don't do anything?
As the shadow claws seem to pass through her harmlessly, you'd see the wound appear on Mateo where the shadows had struck her, and he'd seem to falter slightly, but with a smile on his face.
Hey, you
And then-
sick sadist bastard.
Yeah, Joan looks down and then looks over and perhaps sees the flicker of lightning across Mateo instead, and her brow furrows in confusion. She says nothing.
The ones that you have managed to slip away from, John, continue their advance towards you. Two of them, this like green acid is mixed with their shadowy forms, creating this kind of eerie mixture of this black and bright green. And those two in the third advance towards you. Two of them are going to hit, assuming that you're going to be using your reaction again to have the damage. Taking that already into account, you will take 4 lightning damage total. As 3 of them just begin raking, you stop one of them, and the other 2 manage to get you, but not nearly as bad as before. All right, and then what's your armor class, Mateo?
Mateo's armor class currently is 18.
All right, yeah, the 3 of them, the 3 creatures that surround you, go again, just raking wildly like frenzied animals just around you. But you're able to fend off 2 of the attacks without any consequence. The third one, again, coming in from behind, manages to slip past your guard, and it's going to deal 6 lightning. And with that, Joan, there are 2 creatures left around you now.
So Joan once again swings her great sword in a wide arc, hitting these creatures. The first one will take 10 damage, and the second one will take 7, as she swings, aiming a little higher this time, more towards the shoulders and the necks.
And as the great sword cleaves through, the first one is dissipated in another blast of smoke and mist. Its form completely evaporated. And as the sword kind of hits in through the second one, you can see that it takes a substantial blow. Its form like is distorted and like shifting as if it can barely hold itself together. And with that, John.
So John is kind of just trying to sidestep. I mean, he's obviously still getting caught. And I have my rapier ready, kind of trying to parry the blows here and there where I can. I would like to, would it be possible for me to use my disengage to kind of, separate myself from these 2 or 3 in front of me to kind of circle around and hit one of them that is next to Mateo?
Yeah, so you want to basically leave these 3 and go over to some of the 3 that are attacking Mateo?
Yep, kind of get like a sucker punch in on one of them.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you can use your cunning action to disengage and then join in the fray.
And since this enemy would be within 5 feet of someone on my team, I would get advantage.
Yeah. Well, you'll have sneak attack, but you won't have.
Right.
It doesn't give you advantage.
Sneak attack, not advantage. I'm sorry. So I got a 16 on the die.
Yeah.
Plus 6 is 22 for my attack.
Hits by a mile.
4, 7 plus d6. So yeah, I got a total of 8 damage. I kind of, with my rapier, come to the side and kind of pierce this thing through the side.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say that's the one that Mateo had zapped with some of his radiant energy a bit earlier on. So as you thrust in with your rapier, it just pierces right through its chest. Kind of smoke plumes out from the other side as you stab it, and then just as its form evaporates completely before you.
And I would kind of like glance over to Mateo and see, his wounds, and it's like, quit getting hit, mate. We gotta kill him. Don't let him kill you. Kind of keeping my eyes still on the ones that I had left behind to an extent.
All right, and that will bring us to you, Mateo. John has just vanquished one of these 3. There's 2 left around you.
Mateo, using his bonus action, will pull out his battle axe and he'll say, I'll certainly try to keep them off me, as the axe lights up a little bit as he casts magic weapon to make it a +1 battle axe. And then he's going to swing it really hard.
Let him have it.
So that's an 18 to hit on his first attack.
Yep.
And 14 to hit on his second attack. Did I hit the second one?
Sorry, what was the second one?
14 to hit.
Yep, definitely hits.
Cool. I'm going to be burning a smite on the first attack, a first level one.
Okay.
Do they count as undead?
Not technically, no.
Do they count as fiends? Just asking
Not
because
really.
smite deals an extra d8 if they're one of those.
I'm gonna say no. Because these are
cool.
technically were humans that basically just have this terrible thing that's happened to them.
Yep. All right. So first is 11 slashing and 7 radiant.
All right, yeah. What does it look like as you vaporize this thing with your holy energy?
After imbuing the axe with enough magic to make it shine, he swings it in an uppercut through the creature as the light pierces through the shadow, both symbolically and literally.
And I imagine like this like radiant energy like weaves its way through like the shadowy form, just like basically just vaporizing it as it does so. What was once just this black writhing thing is now just this blinding light.
As he turns to the next one, he's gonna use another first level smite, dealing 8 slashing and 6 radiant.
Yeah, and the same thing happens to that one. Just a flash of radiant light as the axe just cleaves this thing in half. The radiant light just spreading through it, annihilating it.
And that shall be my turn, good fellows.
Beautiful. That will leave us with oh, I always forget that I do that. Now you guys get to see my lovely hit points for these creatures. The remaining one next to you, Joan, will attempt to attack you. Failing miserably, you're able to fend it off with no issues.
Yeah, she almost growls at it as she pushes it backwards.
Yeah, now that you're not surrounded by them, it's a pushover to fend off one of them. The 3 that were where John was are going to flood around John and Mateo now, which will leave us with 2 attacking each of you.
As one of them swings at John, Mateo is going to throw himself in front of the claw using the defense fighting style to impose disadvantage on the attack.
Ooh, nice. All right,
Lots
yeah,
of
and with
reactions
that,
with this guy.
yeah, so there's like the 2 that charge at you, Mateo, and then you manage to kind of like lead them in so that the third one that's going after John, you kind of disrupt its attack. Which all said and done, you're still able to fend off the other two that attack you. John, one of them is clearly going to hit you when Mateo manages to slam it out of the way. But the other one will still claw. You'll only take 5, so if you're going to have that, that'll be 2 lightning damage. And with their numbers dwindling, hardly anything left. Joan.
Yeah, Joan makes her way to where Mateo and John are and comes kind of around behind these two. First one's a 19 to hit, second one is a 16 to hit.
Yep, both hit by a lot.
And with 11 and 10 damage respectively, she comes from behind, swinging to the right, downwards, and then up again in an arc left. First one, then the next.
And with each swing of the blade, 2 more shadowy forms are gone. With that, only 2 creatures remain. John.
Are these 2 within 5 feet of each other?
Yes, they're both kind of around what's now all 3 of you.
So having, kind of stepped behind Mateo and still getting hit, in the same motion, he was already kind of like reaching into his coat pocket again, kind of fumbling around after the hit, and he pulls out another one of those vials and kind of shakes it up and says something under his breath and kind of tosses it over Mateo's shoulder, kind of in line with his shield as to prevent any spray back. And he's going to cast Acid Splash again. DC 14. All right. For a total of 6 damage apiece.
Yeah, there's an explosion of green acid. And with a shriek and a hiss, these creatures are burned and melted away by this acid, their form not able to contain itself anymore, exploding into a strange mixture of this green, acidic, and black gaseous mist, which then dissipates, leaving 3 of you and what you now notice as a cowering Kenneth on the ground, kind of curled into a fetal position, the 4 of you alone.
Kind of like holding his wounds, John would walk over. Oh, come on, Kenneth. That's not very dignified. We need you to lead us to where we're going, bud.
Oh, they're gone.
For now.
And he like stands up and kind of brushes dust and small bits of rubble off of him from where he was on the ground. We should get moving then. Where there's one of these things, there's always more. If we sit here too long, they'll know where to look.
Agreed, Mateo will say in a somewhat pained voice as he puts a hand on his shoulder and is rolling it, trying to hide the fact that he's using lay on hands on himself.
Nice.
So yeah, kind of picking Kenneth up and helping him dust himself off. I'll lead the way.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I will. And I'll kind of begin to turn and move in the direction that you guys were going.
If he's not using my big old lizard anymore, I'm gonna hop onto it.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think you would even think about it. So you'd be able to do so.
Mateo, you seem to have some misfortune, it seems.
It's a misfortune I choose to carry. Better the one who can heal the wounds to take them than others.
That seems unwise.
Well, if I end up going, at least I'll see my parents.
I meant for the rest of us. If you are the only one who can heal, and you are the one who is most injured, well,
These old bones can take a lot more punishment than it looks.
so say you.
And as the conversation falls to a close, the group continues on. Kenneth still a bit shaken up, but enough that he can get you guys going in the direction that he claims is the correct one. And that day would eventually fade, afternoon turning into dusk and evening. And soon, night begins to fall. And Kenneth would turn to you three. We should try to find someone for the night, I think. I mean, I can push on if you guys want to push on, but
Traveling at night with the shadows around isn't wise. We'd best find a place to stay, and I can certainly help with that. And if with his background as an urchin, would he be able to find a suitable place to hide out for the night?
yeah, I imagine it would take you maybe a little bit of looking, 15, 20 minutes, kind of looking through the various broken houses, finding out which ones would have the most defendable locations, the least amount of unexpected entrances, the least broken walls, things like that. And eventually you're able to find one that's pretty well. It's has less caved in roofs and walls than the others, and very few doors and windows.
This seems like it should be well enough for us to stay in. If you all wouldn't mind, I am going to take the first watch of the night.
John's kind of like hitting his pipe. And he's like, I don't know, Mateo. I wouldn't mind taking the first watch.
You'll have it.
And I've kind of like kicked back on like some fallen pieces of rubble. Go on, man. Take a load off. You work too hard.
I do the work of an army.
And how could we ask so much of you? Please, man. You're stressing me out.
And then Mateo is going to sit down and lean back against one of the more stable walls and close his eyes.
Alrighty, so it sounds like John is going to be taking the first watch. What will the rest of the order be for the night? if anything.
I'll take second.
I'll wake up when I'm woken up.
Fair enough. As night falls in the ruins, the four of you are able to get a little bit of rest. Now, in this setting for these rules, 8 hours will get you guys a short rest. So if you would like to spend hit dice, you're able to do so. And if you have any features that come back on a short rest, you'll be able to get those back. But this will not count as a long rest. The night passes without too much incidents. And from there, we will again move forward a little bit as you guys continue your journey. Any more signs of immediate trouble, you're able to avoid without too much trouble. And then, as things go on, eventually you see a huge cathedral where there used to be stained glass windows. There are only fragments, most of it's shattered. The large double doors of wood are mostly rotted, but Kenneth's eyes kind of go wide, not in surprise, but in excitement. And he grabs you, John, on the shoulder and points. There! There it is! And there we found a hidden basement level, uncovered in rubble.
John kind of like, like reacting to kind of some of the wounds that still remained on his body. Kenneth, what the hell were you doing this far out here? How do you know about this?
I wasn't here by myself.
I mean, I didn't say that you were, but I've seen exactly how well you handle yourself in a combat scenario, and it leaves me hard to believe that you made it all the way out here without seeing anything.
Well, some people are picked for their combat prowess, others for their knowledge. Just as I didn't do much of the fighting this time, I didn't do much of it last time either. It's not really my thing.
Yeah, and I can appreciate that, and I really do. I like to think of myself as someone of both worlds, but I'm just a little concerned with how you acquired this knowledge. Is all. I'm not trying to be. What's the word I'm looking for? Judgy, I guess. Were you the only one that? Go ahead.
If you have an accusation to make, you can do it plainly, please. I'm not here to play word games.
I'm not making any accusations here, Kenneth. I just want to know what the hell happened here the last time you were here.
We opened those doors. We saw that there was something to it, a bottom level. We didn't feel like we had the right crew to go any further. It could be dangerous. So we stopped.
You're saying we, and all I'm saying is you.
I sent the others away. They had important matters that they had to attend to, their own personal goals. Not everything can be done by every person.
Joan, do you have an opinion on this matter? Or are we following this guy blindly into this massive building of ancient construction? Mateo, this is kosher with you? We're just going right in there?
If he proves himself to be a liar, then an apt punishment will be dealt. But until then, we follow him.
If you wish to go back on your own, John, you are more than welcome to.
I guess I'll keep my cautions to myself. Carry on.
As I've said before, your paranoia may very well keep you alive. But for now, I have no reason to distrust Kenneth. Do I, Kenneth?
No, of course not. I would never.
See, John, your fears are unfounded.
Hey, who am I to not take things at their face value? Let's go. I'm on board.
Great. Well then, and he kind of like shimmies up next to the doors here. But he kind of puts a hand out as if presenting it. After you three, then.
How large is the door? Is it like person size?
Um, these are like full on like large like cathedral sized double doors. So I imagine like each door is probably taller and like probably like 8 to 10 feet up and pretty wide around in like an arc. So they're pretty big.
I'm gonna ask Kenneth, how large are the cellar doors that you found?
It's a stairwell that goes down, not too wide. Maybe 6, 7 feet.
Very well then. And Mateo is going to hop off of the large reptile he's been riding and pat it on its thick neck. Make sure that nobody follows us. I'll get you a treat when we come back.
All right, so it sounds like you guys are going to enter.
Yep.
I would probably
Right.
once again be bringing up the rear.
Yeah. So the you guys push open these huge doors, kind of grind against the stone flooring as you push. Dust is flung up into the air as you do so. And inside is this just huge open hall. What at some point must have been vivid and beautiful tapestries and carpets have long since rotted away into dull and faded color. Patches missing. The hall is quiet, almost dead quiet. The only sounds that you hear are your own footsteps and your own breath. And as you guys are walking, Joan, you would see something a bit strange happen. Suddenly, what was the footsteps of the group? There's only one set of footsteps that you hear now. Your own. And if you were to turn and look, you would see Mateo, John, and Kenneth completely still, some even mid stride. And then you hear a voice. Well, hello there.
She whips her head around looking for the source.
As you move your head, literally what must be the closest possible angle that this person could be standing at for you to have not seen him in your field of vision is exactly where he is. You literally turn your head a centimeter to the left and he's right there. You see a man extravagantly dressed. You've probably never even seen clothing like this in your life. Like it's immaculate quality, um, remarkable craftsmanship, and fairer skin than you've ever seen on a human being before. Like there's no concept of makeup in this setting, but this person looks like he was like professionally done. He's standing there. He takes a couple steps towards you.
Who are you? Don't come closer.
No. I know that there might be cause to be alarmed. After all, seeing your friends or acquaintances, whatever you'd like to call them, like this must be startling. I just want to talk, if that's okay.
Fine. Talk from right there.
I have a deal that I'd like to make with you. I think it could be very good for both of us.
She looks him up and down in his fine clothes. Really?
Yes, well, you see, I happen to be a merchant of sorts. You provide me with a simple payment, a task that I'll ask you to help me with, and in return, I can give you something remarkable.
Uh-huh. And what is this remarkable thing for some unknown task?
Well, the task does not have to be unknown. You see, down in the basement here, there's a certain book that I would prefer if people didn't get their hands on. All I ask is that you get rid of it for me. And in
You,
return,
you don't want it for yourself? You just want me to get rid of it.
no, that won't be necessary. I just would like it. It'd be better if nobody had it, you see.
You seem awfully powerful. And she nods her head towards the men frozen mid-step. What's stopping you?
Why keep for myself when I can offer such great things to people who would do it for me? Why leave it for myself when other people can benefit from a fair exchange?
I don't believe that horseshit for a second, but what would you offer?
Well, Miss Blackmore, I think a long time ago, a really bad thing happened to you. Well, not to you, perhaps. Maybe someone who knew? A friend of yours? No, friend, not friend. Ah, brother. That was it. Have you ever thought what life might be like if he was still around?
It doesn't matter.
What if it could matter?
He's been dead 6 years. You can't bring the dead back after that long.
Then perhaps you'd like to tell your good brother why you won't be accepting the deal then. And then you hear from behind you a voice when you haven't heard in a long time, but immediately you recognize it. Joan?
Ray? She turns around, unbelieving.
And describe this person that she would see, her brother.
They could be twins. They favor each other greatly. The same dark hair, the same serious face. He's taller, and she takes a step towards him before she stops herself. Raymond, you're not really here, you know. It can't be you.
Of course it's me. Who else would it be?
You died. You died 6 years ago. You're not here.
No. It's strange. It's the last thing I remember. I was there, you, when I thought that it was over, and now I'm here. I don't know why. I don't know how.
No, it's not real. You, it's not real. It's not real. She kind of closes her eyes, and then you see a tear leak out from underneath the tightly shut eyes. It's not real. It can't be real.
You hear the man's voice from behind you, right behind you. You didn't even hear footsteps, but when you turn, he's right there. It could be real. In fact, it's as real as anything. All I ask is that you help me out, and at the snap of a finger, he'll stay.
And that's it? No other strings attached?
Well, typically I would have much grander service arrangements, but I'd very much like for this particular task to be done and done properly. So, a fair one-time exchange. And he reaches into his coat and he pulls out a dagger, just completely plain, no ornamentation in the slightest. And he the blade end of it and holds the hilt towards you. If you put this through the book will be gone. I won't have to worry. And you can have a second chance. Oh, should have been there.
I have one more question.
Certainly.
What happens for you if the book is gone?
Things go on as they have gone on. Nothing changes. That's really all I want.
And if the book isn't destroyed?
Hard to say for sure. Who really knows?
Okay.
Kind of extends his arm out with the hilt end of the dagger towards you.
But what happens if I change my mind?
We'll just consider it in exchange of services. Once I see you've done your end of the deal, I will present you with my end. That's all there is to it. No need to decide now, but just remember. Remember what could happen.
Okay.
And he kind of motions over towards your brother, Raymond. Just a little deed, and then all can be well. You can have your family. I think it's a pretty fair deal.
Well, we'll see about that. She'll take the offered dagger, tuck it away.
Good. Well, might want to go back and stand over there. It might look a little bit strange to your friends if you were to suddenly be in a different spot when they,
Uh, yeah. Right. All right, here we go.
And then the silence falls back over the cathedral hall as the four of you make your way in. Though there's no man, no Raymond, no sound, nothing out of place, nothing strange. As you continue on. And I
Kind of
think
like,
that is where we will, if you don't mind, go ahead and take just a super quick break. And then we will see what ends up happening here. So I will just go ahead and just a quick 5-minute break so we can go to the bathroom, get drinks, things like that, and then we'll get right back into it.
This kind of thing never goes well. I know it.
All right. Thank you to anybody who may be watching so far, either live or the broadcast. Hopefully, it's been interesting so far. Presumably, we'll get a little bit more interesting in the second half here.
Oh, I hope so. I understand the name of the session now.
Yep. And suddenly, it all becomes clear.
Redemption Paladin is really weird and fun.
Sorry, what was that?
Redemption Paladin is really weird and really fun.
Oh, yeah. It's a very unique set of abilities that you don't get too often. Alrighty, so it looks like everybody is back. So unless there's any objections, we will get right back into it. Joan, as quickly as it all happened, it's gone. This strange man offered you a strange deal. Get rid of a book, and you have your brother again. The other three don't even seem to react. As you walk into the cathedral, it's like not a second had passed between when they stopped and when they started again. What would be going through Joan's mind right now as she just sees them walk into the cathedral like nothing's happened?
She's just trying to think of how something like that might be possible. And she wonders who it was she was speaking with. She didn't have the presence of mind to ask for a name. She's not sure he'd have given it. Clearly not normal. There are powerful wizards, but even so, to be able to do something like he's promising, surely it can't be real. But if it is, what's one book? Such a trivial thing.
Kenneth continues on down the hall for a moment, leading you guys down. And then off on one of the side branches of this huge hall lead to a side space. Seems like there used to be a door there, but it's long gone. And in this side room, you can see where a large pile of rubble has been stacked neatly in one corner. And a stairwell leading downwards sits. And Kenneth looks around. Well, this is it. This is as far as we went.
So down those stairs could be anything from demons to dragons to dinosaurs and other dangerous things that begin with the letter D.
Could be anything. I don't know.
Well, as long as that's confirmed, who else is ready to hop in?
Imagine it's dark going into the stairwell.
Yes.
You'd see John kind of reach into the same side of his pocket that he's been reaching in this whole time, or pull out a small granite stone that he kind of like rubs a few times and like shakes it a bit, and it kind of starts to luminesce. He's casting light on the stone. Kind of like using it to peer down this stairwell. Well, Mateo, you are the courageous one. Or, I mean, Joan, you showed your courage as well. Would either of you like to take the lead?
I'll go first into the dark.
Age before beauty.
And I'm certainly one of the oldest here.
I suppose that makes me last then.
Kenneth, are you coming?
Um, uh, yes, of course.
You could certainly go back up to where Scales is.
No, whatever's down there, I should see it for myself.
Then see what you shall.
So it sounds like Mateo will be leading, followed by Joan, then John, then Kenneth.
If anything shows up behind us, Kenneth is so boned. It's okay, though.
As the excuse me, as the group continues down the stairwell, the light shining forth around enough that you guys can see a bit ahead of you down this hallway. And for a time, it's just more of the same, just stairs going down and down. Each next step illuminated seems to be the same as the last, until finally, after a time, it reaches solid, flat ground. And as the hallway continues on, suddenly it opens up into a large room, some sort of basement level of the cathedral. You can see shelves and shelves of dusty books, most of them falling apart at the seams, just rotted away after who knows how many years of sitting in this musty place. And in the center of this room, there seems to be some sort of like ritual altar or something like that. It's a raised platform about 5 feet up. There's rusted sets of candlesticks, nothing left on top of them, kind of set apart in the corners of this raised square. And you would see in the center of this square, one of the books has been set there. Joan, there's not even a fraction of a doubt. Somehow you know. That's the one.
Yeah, she almost immediately strides across the room to have a closer look.
And perhaps to your dismay, Kenneth has excitedly run up alongside you and is looking. As you approach,
Kenneth, don't run ahead. There might be.
as you approach, you can see on this almost like altar, there's like all these different symbols that are scratched into it, carved onto the surface of it. And the book itself seems to have similar things inscribed onto the front cover of it. Like it's tough to make out if there's even words on it or if they're runic symbols. You're not quite sure.
Mateo would walk up much more cautiously than Kenneth, and he'd ask the older gentleman, "Well, what is it? What'd you find?"
Seems to be some sort of book.
Well, yes, I can see that. What's in the book?
I'm not sure. Um, I guess I guess I should open it. And he kind of goes to reach his hands towards the book to grab it.
Can you repeat everything you just said?
Yeah, you went kind of robot-y.
Is that better? Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say like what's in the book, he says, I don't know. Says, I guess I should open it then and find out. And begins to like reach a hand towards it, just completely without any caution.
That's unwise.
His hand freezes in midair, uh, within probably 2 or 3 inches from the front cover of the book. He just turns to you. What? Why?
It's a book we found in an underground cathedral that is in the middle of a ritualistic square.
Well, I don't know, guys. I feel like Kenneth is the most deserving to pick it up.
You don't think it's like anything?
No, no. Go ahead, Kenneth. Pick up the book.
He looks cautiously to the three of you. His hand just continues to hang in the same spot where it had stopped.
Mateo, perhaps you could see if this is cursed or something. You appear to have some sort of magic ability about you.
Granted to me by my cause, I can certainly try and find out what I can. And he is going to attempt either an Arcana check or a Religion check.
Yeah, whichever you prefer. Go ahead.
Cool. They're both -1. 0.
Yeah. I think that says all you need to know about it. You have
I've
no
never
idea.
seen anything like this before in my time. Its writing is completely foreign to me. The way it's set up, I can't recognize it.
Step to the side here. Let me take a look at it. I have a little bit more knowledge in artifacts. Could I try to do something similar?
Go for it.
I'm going to use history. 16 on the die. That's for a total of 22.
So you would know, John. You don't recognize some of these symbols, even most of the symbols you don't recognize, but some of them do look familiar. You would know that they're similar alchemical symbols to ones that you've seen before, scratched on tattered pages of books on walls in different parts of the old world. Different sets of knowledge, but you've never seen so many preserved in one spot like this before. Like usually it's just one small scrap, a couple small fragments here and there. Even just the cover of the book probably has more symbols on it than you've seen in probably 15 other places put together.
Getting a chance to kind of look at it for himself, there's like a slight light that goes over John's face as he. The amount of knowledge on the cover of this book alone could bring us out of the Dark Ages, let alone. John is like getting visibly excited. We have to recover this book. This is marvelous. I've never seen something quite so intact.
You're sure it's useful?
In your experiences, have you seen anything quite as immaculate as this? Everything else is scribbles and cryptic runes. This is a full book. The very secrets of the shadow itself could rest within its pages.
It might not be a good thing.
I don't know what kind of life you've lived before this, Joan, but hardship is all I know. If there's anything that could lead us in the opposite direction of that, I'm more than willing to give it a try.
Just
Feel it.
take care when you read it. We don't want to lose you to the shadows.
I mean, in all honesty, what's the worst that could come from a book? How many of these have you even seen in your life?
If I'm being honest, around 5.
We have number 6 right here. Kenneth, you were right, man. This is revolutionary. I'm kind of like fanatically like going at all angles around this book, looking at anything I can about it without actually physically touching it. Now that I'm around it, I'm kind of nervous. We should pick it up. I'll pick it up.
My guest. I'm not touching it. I mean, there's a good chance it's cursed or it'll bring more shadow upon us.
Well,
I think we
without
should
risk,
destroy
there is
it.
no.
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I think of all of us, I am the most resistant to curses.
Then you pick it up. There is no innovation without risk. We must, for the betterment of mankind.
And Mateo's gonna walk up slowly and cautiously try to take the book from Kenneth.
So Kenneth's hand is still like hanging a couple inches from the book where he had stopped when Joan first protested to the touching of it. He hasn't moved his hand from that spot, as if unsure, down to his being on whether or not he should do anything to it. As you approach Mateo, you hear a voice behind you. Hello, Mateo. As you turn around and look, you can see where the other members of your party are completely still. Even Kenneth's shaking hand is stopped mid motion as you hear this voice call from behind you.
Mateo will turn and he's going to say, "Who's there? Who stopped everything?"
Yeah, as you turn, you see a man immaculately dressed, even finer clothes than a holy man such as yourself. Beautiful and fair skinned in a way that you've never seen before.
Who are you?
Who I am isn't so important. I guess you could say I'm a merchant of sorts.
Whatever you're selling, I don't have the coin for it.
Ah, that's the thing. Coin is not what I'm after. In fact,
And what is
I have a very simple request. I think it would be quite easy for you to carry out. I could
what's the
offer you a great
request?
reward for it. You see that book that you look at? It's a very dangerous thing.
I see it, yeah.
I'd much prefer if its dangers went unreleased. You catch my
What
meaning?
dangers are inside of it?
Who knows what dangers the edge of knowledge can bring? Same knowledge that brought this cursed land down around you.
The last thing I heard was the same knowledge that brought the world down around you.
Yeah, you just said knowledge is a treachery.
Oh. Jesus.
Can you guys hear me?
We heard that. I heard up till the word treacherous.
Oh, just said knowledge is a treacherous thing.
Yes, well, no telling what it can do until it's found.
Some things are better left unfound. Wouldn't you say?
You said you were a merchant, and you're giving me this task to do.
Ah, of course. What might come in return? That's your question, isn't it?
It's certainly what I'm curious about.
You know, it's a real shame what happened to you.
I rose above it.
Parents lost to the shadow, gone crazy. They even tried to kill you. It must have been very traumatic.
Mateo's hands would clench tighter, and he'd say, "What's your point?"
Just a, just a shame, I'd say, that you had to live your life. No family. Breaks my heart. What if there was a way to see them again? Not just see them, but be with them again. And not their crazed form that you knew at the end, but before that. And they were good.
He'd have a look of shock on his face, and he'd look between the book and the man a few times, and then he'd say, "I what happened then led me to who I am now."
Then, and he kind of gestures past you. Perhaps you'd like to tell them to their face why you won't be bringing them back. And as you turn, if you in fact turn, what would Mateo's parents look like? What would he see?
As Mateo turns around, somewhat shaking, he'd see a gentleman with salt and pepper hair, the graying on the sides of his head, and a beard a lot like Mateo's, but darker, standing there with his hand clenched by a woman with red hair and green eyes. And he'd say, "Mom, Dad, no." And he'd start breathing heavily.
Yeah. The woman would look at you with a surprised but loving face. My son, it's been so long. It's good to see you.
How are you? You can't be.
I'm sorry for what happened. You so you have to understand. But we can have a second chance now, right?
I I don't know.
Expression turns to one of surprise and pain. What? What do you mean you don't know?
What happened back then? It's led me to help so many. I can't just devalue it. I, my life started when that happened.
You can still be the person that you've become. Doesn't have to erase the past, but imagine all of us together again.
You see how old I am. I'm older than you, he gestures to his father, whose hair is gray and black, whereas Mateo's is completely white at this point in his life. Even if I accept this, we'll only be together for maybe 5 years before we're separated again.
It's still 5 years. At least.
I never wanted to cry over your grapes. Sure as hell don't want you crying over mine.
The two of them exchange a sad glance with each other.
Sorry. And he turns away from them to keep the fact that he's crying away from their eyes.
Well, that was awful heartless of you. Can't believe you, the man says.
Mateo would look up at him. Is it heartless of me to keep my parents where they are? Or is it heartless of you to dredge them up?
I figured any good man would jump at the chance to have his family back. That's this thing that I someone.
You cut out in the middle of that for me. I apologize.
You said I offered to bring your family back. I figured that's the nicest thing I could offer somebody.
You know me so well, or you think you do. My life is about getting others to where they need to be. I couldn't help my family then, but they're where they need to be now.
If you say so.
Now, if that's your last offer, please go.
Am I ever truly gone or truly there even in the first place? Who's to say? Have a good day. And as if nothing had ever happened, you're there. Kenneth's hand hovering nervously over the book. John entering around it, and Joan apprehensively looking.
Mateo is going to grab the book and he's going to put it into his pack, and he's going to say, "Nothing's happening to this book," and his voice is noticeably coarser than it was before the vision of the man showed up.
What makes you say that? We still don't know if it's safe.
That'll be found out later when we have the time. As of now, book gets destroyed, it's because I died in protecting it.
Seem awfully fond of this book all of a sudden.
Think of it as a newfound inspiration. And then he'll turn to Kenneth and he'll say, "By chance, did a pale man in fancy clothing appear to you or anyone else in your first party when you opened this up?"
Kenneth's hand is still like hovering like where the book was before you grabbed it, and then he finally realizes that he hasn't moved his arm like all this time, and like, oh, strange man, strange clothes. No, I've never heard anything like that before.
Is there a reaction from Joan when that's mentioned?
I'm gonna roll deception and see if she's any good at hiding her emotions. You know, she's not bad. What's your passive perception?
My passive perception is a 10. My passive insight is 13.
Okay, I got like a 13 exactly deception, so I don't know. Jeff?
Since it was since Joan was the active roller in the scenario, since she has met the DC, I'll say that she has succeeded.
Yeah, there might have been a slight intake of breath, but she kind of plays it off as a sigh.
Good. No other deals were made. He says, completely unaware of the deal that was already made.
Sounds kind of like, okay. Let me see the book.
Mateo would look John up and down, just trying to make sure that he's genuine about his want for the book and not to like destroy it or anything. Because, you know, he had an experience with the thing froze time. That could
Oh yeah, absolutely.
now.
Your concerns are relevant. I wouldn't know that by any means.
Yes. So I'm rolling insight. It's a 10. I assume that I know he's telling the truth about this.
I'm kind of like standing there, like kind of eyes glancing back at everyone who's kind of like acting weird, though I haven't necessarily picked up on it. So like my arms outstretched.
Mateo will hand him the book, but still keep eyes on him.
I'm kind of like just looking at this. Like, I don't know. I've never held this much information like this at one time. This is like kind of go to start to crack the cover open and see what's on the inside.
While this is happening, can I get everybody to roll me real quick a perception check? DC 20.
Nope.
So close. 19.
Yeah, so John, you're the only one who catches this offhand. It's very distant, coming from, at the very least, upstairs. It's the faintest sound of a thud, like something heavy, just like hitting something.
So you would kind of see John, like, like about to be nose deep in this book, and he hears something and kind of like, did you guys hear that? Kind of like shut the lid of the book and kind of hand it back to Mateo.
I
Something.
didn't hear anything, Mateo would say as he takes the book back.
No, I heard something. You take this. I don't know what it was, but I don't like it.
I'm more interested by what I heard a moment ago. John, did you make a deal with something?
Did I make a deal? No, what are you talking about?
Mateo said there were other deals made, or no other deals. Mateo, have you made a deal with something?
Mateo?
It was offered, but I denied.
Did you get a deal, Joan? Well, what are these deals? Did I not get a deal?
That's what I want to know.
Well, I would surely like to know if I got a deal. What did you get?
I had an offer to bring my parents back.
Bring your parents back from where? They've been dead.
A little old for that, aren't you?
I was 4 when they were taken from me.
Oh, well, let's pump back up. Whoa. John is like completely, in the dark right now. Whether the party believes him or not is a different story, but his acting would look fairly convincing. Hold on. There's something in this building. None of you heard the thump upstairs.
I heard nothing come from upstairs.
I didn't hear anything either. What?
John is definitely like noticeably like on edge. He's been a spectrum of emotion in the last 5 minutes. You guys can sit here and pretend like you didn't hear a noise, but I'm not going to be caught off guard when something comes down here and finds us.
Mateo would turn to Joan and he'd say, I believe him about the noise.
Oh, I'm not saying he didn't hear it. I'm just saying I didn't hear it.
That's all fine and well. We got the book, Kenneth. I'm sure you would agree. Let's get out of here.
Yes, I think that would be good.
Smartest thing you've said all day, Kenneth, my friend.
Then let's go. Before whatever it is in here tears us apart.
It sounds like we're going to be heading back up these.
Kind of cut out there, Jeff.
So it sounds like you guys are going to be heading back up the stairs.
Yes.
All right. You begin to make your way back. Excuse me. Back to the top of that side office room. The neat rubble in there. And then
Cutouts are fierce.
once
tonight.
you, huh?
Cutouts are fierce tonight.
Is it really bad?
Yeah, I heard us getting up to the office area where we went down the stairs.
Yes. And as you guys head out of that room, at the end of this hallway, you see a strange figure. A man in armor, seems to be almost entirely black. He's huge, like 9 feet tall at least. And on one hand, he's holding the edge of this sword point down on the ground. In the other hand, he's holding a beheaded body of a reptilian creature, which he throws across the cathedral at your feet. Full initiative.
Before initiative starts, Mateo is going to look up from the body towards the man. He's going to say, "You're beyond redemption."
Told you guys I heard a thud.
This first thing, who knows, begins walking slowly down the hall. He raises and the now empty hand towards Kenneth. Kenneth begins to, as if skin, what was once tan, begins to go.
Hang on
Kenneth,
just a second, Jeff. I'm only getting like every fifth word, I think.
I don't know what to do yet. Let me
I'm getting that same treatment too. Internet's wonderful when it works.
all right, I'm gonna turn off and see if that helps and just go with no that better.
It is certainly a lot better, yes. At least for me.
All right. Am I coming through okay enough?
I can hear you.
So this figure, this armored figure, hand towards Kenneth, who without strange gurgle, almost something of pain, as he begins to turn from to a gray, and then the stone. as Kenneth the man no longer there, but Kenneth you.
He's turned into a statue, it looks like.
I think that's what happened, was he turned into a statue.
God, so annoying.
So Kenneth has been petrified.
Yes.
Woo.
Poor soul.
And
I worry that we'll meet a far worse fate than he.
Did Kenneth have the book?
I think
I
you
think
did.
the book.
All right. I have
All
the
right,
book. Cool.
John, I will need you to make a Constitution saving. Did you? Can you guys hear me?
Do you want just John to make the Constitution save?
Yeah, John. I'm gonna see if I can jump back in and if that might help.
Sounds good.
I mean, actually, that sounded pretty bad, but you know.
Yeah. Technology's weird.
I know I consider myself pretty patient, but one thing that like immediately gets me just heated is when technology doesn't perform like it's supposed to.
Oh my gosh, was playing in a game, trying to play in a game yesterday, and we actually had to call it quits and reschedule for another week because the technology was so bad.
That
It was
sucks.
so frustrating because it's a once a month game campaign. You're just like, what? What? No, no.
This isn't supposed to happen.
I know.
Yeah, irritating.
Hello.
Welcome back.
All right, is that any better?
Sounds good.
It's better for now.
Hopefully it sticks to.
All right. Hope it's the way. Yeah, I'll need John.
There it goes again.
Constitution save, I believe he said, and also add 3 to that because you're within 10 feet of me.
Okay. Well, I rolled a natural 20 on the die. Using that one up now.
Did we lose him?
Jeff, you here, buddy?
Maybe trying to restart something.
Never had it happen this bad before.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You said you got a nat 20,
Yes, sir.
Sean? Yeah. So you feel the lights around the cathedral seem to warp around you, and a darkness seems to close in from around the sides of your vision. You're able to stave it off.
I almost picture like, when you get that cold shake that goes through your whole body, kind of something like that. Kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. All right. And that will take us to Joan.
So Joan moves forward and she unsheathes the great sword as she does. She doesn't know who this person in the armor is, only that they're dangerous. And it's going to be a 23 to hit and a natural 20. So I don't know how you want to do crits.
Nice. Yeah, both of those will. For the crit, just roll 2 damage dice.
Okay.
Do barbarians get brutal critical by level 7?
So that is 23 damage. And something that also happens is as she runs forward, you begin to see figures kind of coming out of the shadow. And they're not the same shades that you saw earlier. They glow slightly blue. And Joan can hear them whispering to her. And they begin to surround this figure in the dark armor. And he has disadvantage against anyone but me. And anyone who does get hit is resistant to that damage.
Nice. Alrighty, beautiful. Anything else?
That's it for me.
All right, Mateo.
He's going to run right up next to her and he's going to do the same play he did with the shadows. Going to use the bonus action to send light traveling down his battle axe as he casts magic weapon on it, making it +1 for an hour. And then he's going to swing into this large man in the armor. No, 25 to hit for the first one.
Yep.
And the second one is a 9.
That's not quite gonna do it.
All right. Well, for the first hit, I'm not going to get another opportunity to use a second level slot, so I'm going to do it now. I'm burning a second level smite. So that is going to be 11 radiant and 5. Yeah, 5 slashing.
Beautiful. Yeah, as you just charge up, taking up stance next to Joan, just radiant energy just flying off of this as you just bash this axe into this creature's armor.
First hit a glancing blow off of his shoulder, and the second rams into a chink in his armor.
Alrighty, and John.
So John's kind of goes to say something, but the rest of the party reacts too quickly before he can get it out. They always blindly rush in. So he kind of like is digging through his pocket, but doesn't find anything that he would find useful. So he draws his rapier, and I am gonna say that I would probably try to like maybe crouch off to the side, not necessarily hide. I don't imagine there's very much to hide behind. Kind of just in between the wall and the party at like a 45-degree angle to this guy, kind of trying to glance off to his side, get a flank. I don't expect to do much other than that, so
Yeah,
maybe
you could
ready to dodge.
use a dodge action.
Yeah.
Yes, you kind of skirt around the outside of the skirmish from your companions and ready yourself to try to dodge any blows.
Yep, sounds
How
good
far
to me.
away are you from me, John?
Probably 10 feet. I got. What's the width of this area we're in right now?
Probably like 15 feet wide total.
Yeah, so I'd probably 7.5, 10 feet.
Cool. Stay close to me, I said earlier, wasn't just for the lulls.
I can get back to you if I need to.
So this massive form looks at you, Joan, kind of eyeing the areas, but it doesn't make a sound. Brings up its sword, kind of holding it in front of its face for a moment, looking at it. As this purplish blue lightning begins to crack up the blade that he holds. And then with a startling speed for something his size, is going to bring it down towards you. And that is going to be a... Go ahead.
I'm going to use my reaction to impose disadvantage on this attack.
All right. With disadvantage, that is a 28.
I'm
No,
sorry I
just
couldn't
barely.
help you.
Just barely.
Alrighty. You are going to take 17 slashing damage and 5 lightning damage. As this blade just like comes down onto you with how big it is, it's almost does as much as a club as it does a blade, but you can still feel it cut into you, into your shoulders. It just crashes down with this unreal force.
As Mateo flings himself in front of it, but he's a bit too late because of the surprising speed of this large man.
And Mateo, as you impose yourself in the way, the creature turns its sights towards you next with its second attack, bringing the sword up again, and with disadvantage from Joan. You have luckily, owe her a big thanks, as you are not critically hit, but instead have 21 to hit.
That definitely hits.
All right, that is going to be 20 slashing damage and 5 lightning damage.
As this blade comes down, one of these kinds of shadows that's slightly bluish slides in front of Mateo, and it doesn't stop the blow, but it seems to slow it, and you will lessen that by 8. I'll use my reaction and my spirit shield.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So minus 8 damage total, so it'd be 12 slashing and 5 lightning then instead for a 17 total. And then I am going to need, let's see, who's it going to be? Joan to make me an athletics check.
I only work on saves. This is bad.
It was 16.
All right. You got a 36.
Holy shit, I could not have made that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was basically is gonna so you're going to take 15 bludgeoning damage as he front kicks you straight in the chest, sending you flying 10 feet backwards and prone.
There's just there's a small crack as you hear a rib or two break, and this as the air is forced out of her lungs.
Yeah, so again, rounding down, that'll be 7 bludgeoning in the end. But this thing kicks you like you've been in some fights before. You've faced strong people. This thing hits you with this kick like nothing you've ever felt before. Like you were basically nearly powerless compared to much force this thing hit you with, basically out of nowhere. And Mateo, I'm going to need a Constitution saving throw from you, please. DC 18.
Well, this is unfortunate. I got a 15.
Ooh. So, Mateo, as you're like looking up at this creature, you just watched it like front kick Joan like a good decent bit from away from it in a single kick. But then your vision starts to become hazy. Like the edges of your vision seem to close in, and then more in. As something about this place seems to distort your sight, you will be blinded for the next round.
So I am effectively blind.
Yes, you are blind until the end of your next turn.
Woo.
Joan.
Joan stands up, pulling herself to her feet uh, with a good deal of effort. And she's gonna just run right back at this thing, coming up alongside Mateo once more. It's gonna be a 16 and a 17 to hit.
Yeah, you bring your sword up to bear, but it bounces off of this thing's armor, just glancing aside in each direction each time you try to swing. Neither of those will hit.
You see the beads of sweat beginning to form from the exertion and the frustration on her face.
Mateo.
Mateo, seeing how this thing just kicked Joan across the room, and she's probably at least as strong as Mateo is, if not stronger than him. He's going to slip behind her in case it decides to kick again, to brace his hands against her and use his action to give her 15 hit points with lay on hands. And this light is flowing into Joan as her and Mateo are face to face with a giant metal whatever this is.
It breaks her concentration for just this moment, this sudden surge of warmth and energy. And she realizes what's happening and renews her assault when it's her turn.
Alrighty, is that your full turn, Mateo?
I do my full turn, yes.
Yeah, as you put this energy into Joan, healing her with your powers, after a moment, feel that hazy darkness begin to fade away as slowly the shadows turn into blurred vision and then back to sight. John.
John is kind of like standing there shaken in disbelief. For these are some of the best fighters he's ever met, and to see Joan get sent sprawling on the floor is enough for him to. We need to run. We stand no chance against this monster. We have what we came for. We can flee. We can flee now. And he will kind of look for an opening for him to escape through, while kind of notioning to Mateo to kind of maybe even hand him the book so he can get out in a flash. Really don't have a whole lot I can do against this guy. Maybe no. I'm trying to leave. I think we should run.
Right. So because of the size of the hallway and this thing's reach, you will need to disengage in order to get past it without taking an opportunity attack.
Okay. Yeah, then I will.
So I don't know if you were
I
trying to
guess-
wait for Mateo to give you the book or if you were trying to
Yeah.
leave now.
I'm kind of like positioning myself a little bit closer to Mateo to use my turn to kind of coax him to give me the book before disengaging. Mateo, I'm a lot swifter than you are. Please, I can get out of here. We can make it.
Because it's in Mateo's pack, it'll have to wait until his turn before that he can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought so.
That'll be
Alrighty.
it for me.
I need everybody real quick to make me a DC 18 con save.
Remember, everyone, add 3 to it because you're within 10 feet of me, I think. So
Ooh.
close.
Ouch. So this thing kind of brings its sword kind of reverse grip for a second, and it brings it up in both of its hands and just slams the sword down onto the ground. As it does so, a blast of electricity just radiates from the point of his sword, just blasting everybody with this wave of electricity. Since all of you failed, everyone is going to take 31 electricity damage. It was Constitution.
Ouch.
And you can feel this electricity kind of course around you. This kind of tingling sensation seems to stick on you. Everybody, since you all failed, will be vulnerable to lightning damage until the encounter
As
ends.
Include this lightning damage.
As this
No.
wave kind of passes through us, you see it rock into John, and he falls to his knees.
Is that him being down?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I'm down.
Alrighty, that is the thing. You guys can see about, I'm gonna say 30 feet back from where this thing is, so about 35 feet from you guys. Spring up from the ground as if from nowhere. One of the same faceless shade creatures that you saw before appears.
So behind, like on the way out.
Yes. Joan. And that'll take us to Joan.
So Joan looks behind her and sees John on the ground. She looks to the statued Kenneth, and then her eyes meet Mateo's. Go. You have the book. Go. And she's going to attack this thing twice and see if she can shift her way around so that as shoot, I missed both times. As Mateo leaves, if he does, she's going to try and keep protecting him.
And Joan continues her onslaught to unfortunately not the success that she would hope for, but that will bring us to Mateo.
I need to check the casting time of something. Give me 2 seconds.
No worries.
Mateo, seeing the situation they're in, and that Joan will not be leaving anytime soon, he's going to be using his bonus action to say, kick his ass. And he's going to place a hand on her shoulder as a small glow starts to emanate from her skin as he casts Sanctuary on her. And then he goes to pick up John and start running towards the exit.
All right, it will get an opportunity attack at you as you try to leave.
Will picking up
But
John
at
require my
disadvantage.
action?
I'm sorry?
Will picking up John require my full action?
Let's see, what's your strength?
My strength is 16.
It's probably enough that it wouldn't be that hard to pick him up.
All right, so if possible, I would like to pick him up and disengage and then run.
Well, you use action to cast a spell.
No, I use my bonus action because Sanctuary is a bonus action spell.
Ah, okay. That's fine.
Yep. Cool.
John, if you would please.
I rolled my death saving throw, and my first one was a failure.
This shade creature that has appeared rushes towards you, Mateo. Tries to claw at you, but you're able to fend it off. It does not hit. This thing looks at you, Joan, and then turns towards Mateo, and then back to you, and it front kicks you again. That is going to be 25.
Is this an attack?
Yes.
Ouch. Nope, it'll make it a 18.
Okay. If it's an attack or a harmful spell, it needs to make a wisdom save, but I'm not sure if this counts as either of those.
It is an attack because it is going to deal damage.
Okay, then it needs to make a wisdom save before it does anything.
That is 16.
16 makes it.
Yeah, so it feels this effect, but just shakes it off. Kicking you in the chest again, Joan. You're going to take, including resistance from your rage, 9 bludgeoning damage. And you said you got an 18 on the strength?
Correct.
Literally got a 19.
Ah. So
So
close.
once again, just this ridiculous force just sends you sprawling 10 feet back and prone onto the ground. It turns and runs towards you, Mateo. It's going to use its remaining 2 attacks.
At disadvantage.
Yes, at disadvantage. That is still a 21.
First one hits.
And then a 22, which will also hit.
This might be the end.
You are going to take 10 lightning damage. And oh my god.
That's not good.
Um
Subtract 6 from it. But only 6.
Thanks.
37 slashing damage.
How much total?
So counting the -6, 31 slashing.
Oh, fuck. Mateo, as he's running, the great sword slashes down into his back, and it cleaves through the armor, and he falls to the ground unconscious and drops Joe. Not Joe, John. I'm mixing up names everywhere. There's too many J's.
And then, as if all that wasn't enough, Joan, I will need you to make a Constitution save.
And no +3 because I'm incapacitated.
17.
That is 1 short. So you feel this darkness encroach over your vision. You can't tell if it's from the kick or from something else, but it quickly becomes apparent that it's something else about this place. It seems to haze over your vision, which keeps continuing to blur and to blur until it's black. You will be blinded until the end of your next turn, but at least it's your turn.
And Joan moves forward, swinging wildly. Can I just try and attack at disadvantage even though I can't see him?
Yeah, you would know the direction that he kicked you from.
Mm-hmm.
Now he moved, but he's pretty loud when he moves, so you would know generally the direction. So I'll say you could get up to him, but you will swing at disadvantage.
Okay, but one of them might hit. Will a 20 hit?
No.
No! Okay, so she just goes up and she's swinging wildly.
Yeah, and you can feel the blades connecting with something, but without being able to see the finer details, it just clatters off of the plate of this thing. Mateo, if you would please.
First death save was a fail.
Ouch. John.
My second death save was a success. As I
Alrighty.
lay convulsing on the ground, I guess.
Right. Let's see. All right. Sorry about this, John. The shade is gonna bend down and try to rake at your body. Oh, but it rolls double twos with advantage.
Whose body?
Those convulsions, man, they are the pinnacle of defensive
Yeah.
maneuvering.
This thing goes to kneel down just to try to end you, but somehow it's not able to do so. Its claws just smash into the ground next to you. A pulse of electricity surges right next to your head from its claws, but does not hit you. All right. This armored creature is going to bend down and tear the packs from both John and Mateo's backs. Throws them to one side of the hall and turns back to Joan. And is going to hit for 17 slashing and 10 lightning from the vulnerability. That will be 8 slashing after resistance for 18 total.
Bring it on, you bastard.
And then again, further down the hall, another shade appears as this dark place continues to warp the area around it. Joan.
Joan
Oh
looks
wait,
at.
did you make a wisdom save before those attacks? Because sanctuary doesn't go away.
No, it does if I've attacked him.
Oh, right, and you did that. Okay.
I definitely did
Right.
that. Not well, but I did. So Joan is looking and she sees the convulsing form of John, the still form of Mateo, and across the way she sees the packs, and she knows the book is in there. And so she is going to uh, try and double move and get to the packs and get out, taking the opportunity attack. My speed is 40 feet, so if I'm double moving, that's 80.
All right. So it will get its opportunity attack on you, and it will hit. And you will take, after resistance, 10 slashing, 6 lightning.
Oh my god, you guys, I'm on 2 hit points. I might make it, I don't know. Yeah, okay, so she gets this cut, I imagine maybe across the back. And she's got Mateo's pack in her hand and is just stumbling, probably blood pouring into her eyes, running as fast as she can.
You're going to love me. I rolled a nat 20 on my next stat save.
You're alive!
Should we wait for Baron?
Yeah, it looks like he just sent a message. It looks like he lost internet.
Should we tell him the good news?
So while we're waiting, since I was going to do this anyways, and it's nice because it'll pause it for a second while. Joan, as you're running, bleeding in who knows how many spots, you can still feel the pulse of thunder and lightning moving through you. You see that same man from before. And once again, everything seems like it's stopped. You know, you can't outrun him.
What? I mean, I could if you stopped time.
Yeah, I guess you're right. However, I'm still not sure how committed you are to following through, on our deal.
Yeah, funny, I'm not sure either.
Well, it seems like the stakes might have a little bit, if you know what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
How about I let you finish the job right now? I'll let you live. Well, I'll stop him from killing you at the very least. And I'll still follow up on the rest of the deal that I made earlier.
Why? Why do you want this destroyed? No bullshit, tell me.
I've already told you it's bad for business.
What business is that? What are you a merchant of?
I'm a merchant of whatever people want me to give them. All it takes is just a little bit of what I want them to give me. That's really all there is to it. Some people want power. Some people want knowledge. Some people want their brothers back. Just as an example. I can give them those things. All it takes is a little something in return. And that's what I'm a merchant of. What people want.
Could you tell me how to defeat the shadow? How to fight it? Or is that what's in this book?
Who knows what's in that book? I guarantee you couldn't read it.
John could.
But you know.
If
Otherwise you wouldn't be so afraid of it.
Of course, that's why I'm here trying to make a deal. If I didn't care about it, why would I give up such great things in return? Although, I suppose at this point I don't have too much to worry about. After all, I could just let you die. He can outrun you. I'm just going to tell you that up front. He's very fast.
And if I do this, the others will be
I'll make
okay
sure
as well.
You mean those two?
And the guide.
Sure. Yeah. I'm fine with that. You'll live. The other two, three, will live. And I'll even still give you your brother back.
And I want to know your name. I want to know who I'm working with.
Hmm.
You know mine, it seems only fair.
I'm not sure if that's something that I want to so easily disclose. After all, names are awful powerful.
Easily. Easily? What part of this looks easy?
I mean, it's easy enough for me.
Then maybe you'll have to wait for someone else stupid enough to come in here and bargain with you. I want to know your name as well.
Okay, I'll add my name in as part of the deal. Once the book is done, then I'll tell you.
Joan is breathing heavily, bleeding profusely. She drops to her knees, opens the pack, pulls the book out, fumbles for a moment, finding the dagger. Is Mateo conscious?
As far as I know, time's still frozen.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Everything's frozen.
everything
Okay,
is stopped.
she stabs the book.
When the blade stabs in to the book begins to burn from where the stab wound has been inflicted on it, which slowly spreads, the cinders winding their way through the pages until there's nothing left but a dagger and a pile of ash. The man smiles a wry smile. Good. I knew you'd come around eventually. Suppose you didn't have too much of a good way about it anyways.
I've done my part.
Yes, you've done it well.
And you? Your name, their lives, my brother?
A deal is a deal. Joan, you suddenly find yourself amidst your company, your party. Mateo, John, Kenneth, in the cathedral, and Ray. He's there too. Of course, he's been there all along. At least that's what everyone else seems to think. And Kenneth turns to everyone. It's a real disappointment that we didn't find anything here after all. All this work, all this travel. Raymond turns to him. Yeah, I know. All that work for nothing.
So
I
we
mean, you
trade the
hear,
reason to ever the treasure in the lair. It's the journey to get there.
and Joan, you just have one word that seems to have burned itself into your mind. Mephistopheles.
She hears that whisper in her head, that name. She looks at her brother. She looks at Mateo. I'm inclined to agree with you, Mateo. I think a trip with all of us is certainly not wasted. She throws an arm around her brother for the first time in 6 years.
And from this band of adventurers, we move out away from the cathedral. We see standing atop a nearby building an immaculately dressed man, fairer skin than ever seen before. He just begins to laugh. And that is where we will end Temptation.
Ugh, thank you for running, Jeff. And now I really want to know what happens and how much I just
Holy
screwed up.
cow.
Oh god, I made a deal with the devil.
Yeah. Not only that, you made a deal with the devil that doesn't
Yeah,
like the
pretty
devil.
much. There's no real way to go about it other than, yeah, you did.
Yep. I'll just say that there was a reason that I named the session what it was called.
Yep.
Interesting setting. There's quite a bit about it that I like.
Should I just get all of my plugs out of the way now?
Yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves and plug anything that you'd like to plug, anything that you want to talk about, or last thoughts about the game, I'd be happy to hear it before we cut broadcast.
That choice with the parents and the book was a very difficult one. Thank you, and also fuck you. My name is Connor. I run the channel Versatile Diecaster. Live plays are going up there relatively often. Go there if you want to. Stay here if you don't.
Cool. Baron, how about you? Maybe. I think we might have.
Um, I will give the link to Jeff
Oh.
to post in the video. Do we lose me?
Sorry.
Am I out of here?
You cut out for a lot there, Baron. So we missed most of that.
Yeah, come check me out if you want.
Woohoo!
All right.
I
Yeah,
think,
looks like
I
we
think we
might have,
froze.
I think we lost him again. Just go ahead, Taylor.
I'm Taylor. I had an awesome time. I don't usually make deals with the devil. My characters are usually better than that, but this was a lot of fun in this kind of twisted, dark setting. And Jeff, I really like this setting. I'm looking forward to playing more in it. I run a channel called Mom's the Nerd, and I do a few games on there every now and then. But this is my first time playing under Jeff, and really had a good time with you running.
Awesome. I appreciate that. And
I can handle Baron's plugging stuff. He runs the channel RWD Gaming. There's live plays there. There's lots of D&D, lots of really neat stuff. He's doing some stuff with his own setting where everything is a small little woodland critter. So go check that out if you want to.
nice. And I have everybody's channel links in the description. I just added yours in there, Connor, as well, since I did not. That was the only one I didn't know beforehand. So those should all be in there. So please, if you were watching and want to check them out, I've played in most of their games, or seen them at least, and they're definitely worth giving a look. In the meantime, thanks for anybody who checked this out live or is checking this out later. I appreciate the watches, and I'll check you guys next time.